Hello everyone. Today we will study how substances like ions, nutrients, glucose or amino acids move through the cell membrane, reach towards the target and perform its action. So today we will study how this substance transport across the cell membrane. These substances move through the cell membrane by two major processes. First one is passive, another one is active. And in passive, no energy is required by the substances to move across the cell membrane. Why? Because it occurs along the concentration gradient. Like if this is a cell, more concentration of solute is present in extracellular fluid than into the cell. So higher concentration of solute present in extracellular fluid than in cytoplasm, so it need to travel from the higher towards its lower concentration. So this is known as along the concentration gradient. When substance move naturally from the higher towards its lower concentration. In example, as you can see over here, this person need to travel from the upper hill towards its downhill. So no energy is required by the substance to move across the cell membrane. On the other hand, inactive, it does consume energy because as you can see over here, this person need to travel from the downhill towards its uphill. Now we will study. So in active transport processes, that substances are transported against their chemical as well as their electrical gradient, which means in chemical differences in solute concentration across a membrane, whereas in electrical gradient differences in charge across a membrane, and this form of transport requires energy and is called active transport. As you see over here, if this is a cell, so less concentration of solute is present over here and more concentration of solute is present inside the cell. So this solute or substance travel against its gradient, like from the lower towards its higher concentration. This is the chemical type of gradient. Whereas in electrical, if this is a plus positive charge, so less positive is present inside as compared to the in extracellular fluid. So this form of transport requires energy and is called as an active transport. There are different ways to transport the substance, which is divided into four categories. First is primary active transport process, which is the most important. Further is secondary active transport process, then carrier type process, then vesicular transport process. And in primary, there is sodium potassium pump, calcium pump, or potassium or hydrogen pump. And we're gonna focus more on the sodium pump or sodium potassium ATPase pump, which is the most common pump found in all parts of the body. So as you see first its structure, this ATPase component is comprised of 3 alpha subunit and 3 beta subunit, but the transport of sodium out of the cell and potassium into the cell is occurred by a alpha subunit. Now there are different structures which get bind to the different binding site, and this binding site is further divided into extracellular and intracellular. This binding site is present extracellular compartment or in extracellular fluid or outside the cell. So 2 potassium get binds in extracellular, whereas this 3 binding site are present into the cell. First ATP for the ATPase molecule get bind. Another one is for 3 sodium get attached over here, whereas here ATP molecule get attached. Now this pump get work into two step. As you can see over here, in first step, binding of 3 sodium ion plus ATPase to a carrier protein inside the cell, causes change in shape resulting into 3 sodium ion to move out of the cell. So first, binding of 3Na over here plus ATPA molecule over here to this carrier protein. To this carrier means it is an ATPase carrier molecule or protein to which 3 sodium ion, whereas a 1 ATP molecule get bind, change its shape and keep the 3 sodium out of the cell. And in second step, 2 potassium ion bind to carrier protein and which is outside the cell, result into change its shape, keep potassium ion move into the cell. So in first step what happened, this is a carrier molecule which contains ATPase. What ATPase does? It hydrolyzes ATP into ADP, which we will further see. First you just learn this, that this is a ATPase molecule to which 3 sodium ion plus ATP molecule get bind, which change its shape after binding these two components with it and keep this 3 sodium out of the cell. And in second step 2 potassium ion bind with it, change its shape and keep this sodium ion into the cell. As you see over here, by changing its shape it keeps 3 sodium out of the cell and 2 potassium into the cell. Now we will see that how it functions. So sodium potassium pump is responsible to maintain high potassium into the cell, low sodium concentration in cell and high sodium concentration out of the cell. And how it keeps, as you can see over here, this ATP molecule with the help of this carrier protein, ATPase enzyme, which cleave it and result into ADP and release this energy. And this energy utilizes to force out sodium ion from the cell and take 2 potassium ion into the cell for each molecule of ATP hydrolyzed. So it is called as electrogenic pump or coupling ratio with 3:2 because it kick out 3 molecules of sodium and bring 2 molecule of potassium into the cell. So this energy using process is used for basal metabolism. All the basal metabolism use this process to bring the ion into the cell or keep to kick out the sodium outside the cell. And how the inhibition of the pump occur? The concentration of any substance is low, like the concentration of sodium, potassium or ATP. Whenever the concentration of these three substances get low, this pump automatic get inhibit. Or when temperature is reduced or lack of oxygen or metabolic poisons which prevent the formation of ATP. Whenever these things gonna happen, the automatic this pump will not get work or it get inhibit. One more time I'm gonna explain that how this pump gonna work because it is the most important. As you see its structure already, this is ATPase molecule or carrier protein to which ATP or 3 sodium molecule get bind. After binding it, it change its shape and keep the sodium out of the cell and bring 2 potassium into the cell. But how? This ATPase cleave this ATP into ADP, which release energy, and this energy utilizes to force this sodium ion to move out of the cell and bring 2 potassium ion into the cell. So every time one energy molecule is used to force 3 sodium out of the cell and 2 potassium into the cell. So it is known as a electrogenic pump or coupling ratio. So thank you so much. I hope this topic get clear to you.